All right, so we're going to ask you a question. Please respond to this in the chat log. Have you used Google Docs? And if so, how have you used them? Have you used them privately in your personal life, or have you used them with your students in your classrooms and so on? So go ahead and we'll give you a minute to do that. All right, Christine. So Christine's used it professionally to share documents with others remotely. Oh, here they come. Now you're coming. All right. Good. So Andy says, yes, we use them, a shared document with our leadership team where we track coaching efforts and evaluation trends. Okay, so you're using it mostly with coworkers. All right, professionally, students. All right, so both. Ashley says both. And yes, Jackie, you should be able to hear us. Sorry, everyone, just wanted to let Jackie know what was going on there. Okay, so we have some experience. It sounds like not a lot of experience with Google Docs, so hopefully you'll learn at least one new thing today, and we'll see what happens. All right, so the basics. And I'm gonna close myself here for a while. You'll have to wait to see my pretty face later. And I'm gonna minimize this. Maybe. All right. So the basics, when you go into, and you can follow along with this if you like, if you want to do this on your own. So when you go to drive.google.com, that's where you're going to go to open up Google Docs. It's your Google Drive, which would allow you to store documents, share documents, and you can share any kind of document through Google Drive. It doesn't have to be a Google Doc. It could be a PDF, an image, a Word file. You could put anything in there that you'd like to share with others. It doesn't have all the features when you use non-Google Doc documents or items, but you could still share them. So once you sign in, I'm not going to actually sign in here, but this is what your page should look like. So once you sign in, put your email, and then it'll ask you for your password, and it's going to take you into Drive. So here's what my Drive looks like right now. And you can see over on the left-hand side, we have My Drive. There's some different options. If people have already shared documents with me, there's something called Shared with Me. And that's just all of the documents that people have shared with you specifically. There's photos. We also have recent documents. So if you're working on something, you can find it there quicker. You can star documents that you use a lot so that they come up with a list. You can see I don't use that. Probably should though. And we have the other functions here. So what we're going to look at right now, if you click New, you can create a new Google Doc, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and you have some other options here as well. So we're going to open a Google Doc. If you want to do this, again, you don't have to. If you want to follow along, that's fine. But if you want to do this on your own, that's certainly acceptable too. So once you open up a Google Doc, it comes up in a new tab in your browser. And you'll notice right here it's untitled right now. So if you click on the title, you can name your document. And we'll call it Practice Document. And then you can see it renames itself here. If I want to star this document, you can star it, and then again when you're in your Drive, it would show up when you press that tab. Another thing you will want to know how to do is in your Drive, of course, you can create folders. So if you look at mine, I have all these different folders of documents. You want to be able to manage that. So the way you move folders around, documents around, if you click on this little folder here, And let's say I wanted to save it in, I don't know, we'll call it work documents. So I want to save it in that file, so I click the arrow, and then I could choose to save it under any of those folders as well. If I just want to save it under work documents, a file, I can do so. So I just choose which folder I want to save it in, give it a little checkbox indicating where it'll be saved, and click move. And it'll automatically move there. All right, now notice you have a lot of the same things you have in Word. You know, you have your file menu, edit, view. There's a lot of different things here. Add-ons is something different that you don't necessarily see in Word. We're not going to talk about those today, but if you get a chance, if you're a little more advanced user, go ahead and check those out. See what's there. There's some really cool tools to use. Notice there's nothing that says save. So Google Docs automatically saves. You never have to worry about forgetting to save, or if your computer crashes, you don't lose any of your work and so on. Okay? All right, so are there any questions at this point? Okay, we'll keep moving then. If you come up with a question, please don't be afraid to type it away. I'm going to show you this real quick. Insert an image. So when you insert an image, you have some different, okay. We'll get to your question in just a second. When you insert an image, it looks a little bit different than, you know, in Word, the only option is basically you can browse for your image. What you can do here, actually, when you do this, it'll actually pull up a search, a Google search. So if I wanted a picture of a student, I can actually just type that in there, and it brings up all these different images I can use. And if I like this one, that's a good one to use. It'll actually automatically enter it right into my document, and then I can resize it if I want. There's a cropping tool, so if I only want maybe, oops, undo. All right, if I only want a portion of this image, I can drag these over. So I can do a little bit of simple editing right within the document itself without having it to download it, save it, use a image editing software, and then save it again, and then upload it into my document. So it saves a little bit of time. And also it'll pull images right from your Google Drive. So again, these are a little bit different options. You can upload, so if you have an image saved on your computer, you can upload here. Also, if you have a URL of an image, you can do it that way, or you can pull images right from your Google Drive. So Andy had a question about a starred document. So let me show you what that looks like, Andy. Maybe? Cancel? Here we go. So let's say I star this document. I click this little star here. When I'm in my drive then, if this is a document that I use a lot and I don't want to have to sort through a bunch of folders, navigate through all this to find it, once I go to drive, if I just click on starred, you can see that document is right there. So it's just an easy, quick way to find a document that you use a lot. Hopefully that answers your question. Yes, exactly. Just like a favorite. You got it. Okay. See where I'm at here. Okay, we're going to have you do some, actually collaborate on a document now. So I'm going to close this one. And over in the chat log, Terry placed a link, a web link. So if you could go ahead and click on that web link, it's going to bring you to what we call a Google form, which is just a way to collect some information. So go ahead and complete that form if you would. Andy, if you look in the chat log above, if you scroll up, there's a web link. If you click on that web link, it should look like this. So just 3 pieces of information for us to collect. And just kind of an aside, this is another Google app called Forms. So you can create basically a survey or a questionnaire. You have different question type options. So it's just a really nice way. And then you give out the web link, or you can do a QR code, however you want to do that, have people fill it out. And then all the information automatically goes into a nice spreadsheet. So you can sort through that information and have that information available fairly quickly. So it looks like we're still waiting for a couple. And if we don't get everyone right away, that's okay. We can go back and add people. So now Terry's going to help me. Oh, did you catch Joel's typo?
Yes.
All right. So Terry's going to help me here. She's actually going to share a document with you. So what Terry's doing behind the scenes here, she's collecting some email addresses that you just gave us, your Gmail accounts, and we're going to share this document that you're looking at. We're going to share this with all of you. So what we're going to do, and make sure, by the way, if you need to see the document, make sure you go back to your GoToMeeting tab so you can see what I'm referring to. So when you're in a document, any Google Doc, it has a share button. And if you click on that share button, it gives you lots of different options here. So it allows you to share by a name or an email address. So if it's someone within your domain, so if within your school, if you type in their name here, you can actually share that document with them. You can also share a link with anyone. So here, if I do this copy link, it actually copies it to my clipboard, and then I could go to an email and send that link with the email so that people could access that document. So Terry right now is actually copying and pasting your emails from the Google form into this space here. And you can see we have other options here too. We have, right now it's set at can edit. We could just limit it to can comment or can view. So this is really flexible. If you only want someone to see a document but not make changes to it, you can do that way. So that might be useful if you're sending a document to parents, or if it's something you want to send to your students but don't want them to make changes to it. If it's just an information piece, you can do that way. Comments is kind of nice. Also, you can get some feedback, or you can have students respond to it but not necessarily be able to edit the document itself. So I think Carrie has that done now, obviously, because some people are already writing on the document. So if you don't know how to get to that document, then what you do in your drive, or on the left-hand side, shared with me, you should find that document at the top of your list. It's called Google Apps Live Document. And once you're there, you'll notice up here, if you're looking at the GoToMeeting screen or the live document itself, you'll see a list of who's on the document. So if you haven't started already, go ahead and type in some information here. Go ahead and complete that for yourself. And if you'd like to change the font color of your line, or if you'd like to add an image, feel free to kind of just play around with that. We're going to give you a couple minutes here to just play around with that and get some experience in Google Docs and see how that collaboration works. Andy, if you want to type your email address in the chat box here, we can add you to the document. And go ahead and get creative with your, change some font, do some other, just play around with it a little bit. If you want to add another column, maybe you have something that you would like us to put in here. Maybe that would be fun. So if you have an idea, go ahead and add a column. Okay, Andrea, you should be able to be on the document. It should be in your shared with me section now. Okay, so thank you for doing that. So you can see that this is obviously different than Word, because as you were typing and entering your information, everyone was able to see that information. So it is actually live, real-time collaboration. There we go. 6 classes a day, right? Okay, so Joel's already demonstrated for us another one of the features in Google Docs, and that's the chat feature. So if you go up here and if you ever can't find the chat feature, it might be because no one else is currently on your document. It's only active if there's other people on the document as you're there. So up here, it says show chat, and it's just a chat box. So it's a messenger. It's another way to communicate, collaborate. So I might say something like this. And then you'll be able to see the chat. So go ahead and you can practice with the chat as we're doing this. Feel free, if you have a question, you can put it there. Reply to someone else's chat. Just play around with it a little bit. Yay, Andy. Woohoo, we got you there. All right. Now, some of the limitations of chat. If we were to all close this document and everyone left the document, so there's no one actively on the document, and we would come back to it, that chat log would actually be lost. There's not really a good way to keep a record of that. So if it's something that you want to be permanent, make sure that you don't use the chat. There's another way to do that. But let's hear from you. How would you use this? How do you see having this chat box available? How is that helpful as you work with students and other people in your buildings or in your districts? No one? Crickets? Oh, there we go. Allow the students to collaborate from home. Very good. Absolutely. Students can ask a quick question and I can respond in real time. Absolutely. So even if they're quietly working in your room, And rather than having to get up and disturb people if they're working on a document that you've asked them to work on, you can see a question there. Very good. To make notes on documents where there are questions about sections, good. So again, that collaboration, and the other thing I should show you here too, if I go over and highlight some text, so if you're watching on GoToMeeting right now, if I highlight some text, I'm sorry, I'm confused. That's another feature. Okay, so good. So again, try to remember though, chat is not a permanent record. If we all close this document, that is all lost. So just remember that. All right, moving on. So now a little different feature. So now if we did want to have a record and this was something we wanted to use more permanently, be part of our document and have a record of it, let's see here. Oh, let's see. So if I highlight some text, and I'm going to go, let's do this. If I highlight text and then click the comment box, you'll see this different looking box kind of comes up. And actually I was wrong earlier. Joel didn't use the chat. He used the comment box. So highlight some text or an image and then you can type a message there. So if I had a question like, are you sure on the spelling? And then that goes there. They can reply to it. You can actually delete it, edit, so on. But this actually stays with the document until I delete. If I delete that or resolve, one of the options is to resolve that. So if I say, okay, yum, that's a great comment. I'm just going to get rid of that comment, so I'm going to resolve it. It goes away. It's no longer there. But I can reopen it if I'd like to see it again. So the comment box is a little more permanent. It's a great way to, for instance, if you have your students do their editing through Google Docs, it's a great way to keep that record there. And then they can show you, these are the changes that you suggested, and then you can look and see, did they make those changes? Did they not make those changes? Have they not done any changes that you asked them to do, and so on? So it's really a nice tool for collaborating again. Just another collaboration tool. All right, let's see where I'm at. Hey, any questions on how to share documents, comments, or chat? Okay, no questions, then we'll move on. Revision history. Now, this is a collaborative document, and we all know students sometimes tend to make mistakes or do things that they didn't intend to do, or maybe do something that they did intend to do that we don't find appropriate, or we just simply don't want to accept that change. There is a revision history. So if you go to File, and then one of the options is See Revision History. And again, if you want to follow on and see what I'm talking about, you can go to the GoToMeeting tab on your browser. We have this revision history here. So we can see all the changes that have been made to the document by timestamp. So in chronological order, starting with the very oldest changes all the way up to the very newest changes. So what I'd like you to do now is I would like you to go to the bottom of the document and actually make some changes. There's some text at the bottom. Go ahead and make some changes in the text. So choose a paragraph and maybe change a word or whatever you want to change. Change some of the font or the color of the font or the highlight or whatever you want to do. But go in text and make some changes, please. Perfect. So now we can see some changes being made. And I'm kind of looking at that. And now let's say, okay, well, some of these changes are good. Like I like this, how it says the big mistake, so we can see that. That's a good visual. But I don't really like this font on effectively. So rather than having to highlight and change it back, what I can do is I can go back and look at my revision history. So I'm going to open that up and see if I can find that change. So you'll notice here if I click on, say, today at 2:18, and it's color-coded, notice. So any changes that Christine made are in this kind of orange color, this tangerine. Any changes that David made are in green. Any changes that Joel made are in orange, and so on. So I could actually restore that full version, but sometimes that causes issues. So I'm going to go back up to something, let's go to 227. So I can see at 227 that Christine changed something somewhere. Might have to go back to an earlier one. That didn't look like text. Let's take a look here. 227. I'm not seeing it in color. Interesting. Oh, there was one. Okay, here we go. So let's say I like, well, Jackie looks like did some changes down here in this, and I kind of like that. But I don't really necessarily want to change other things in the document. So if this paragraph had been messed with, well, I don't really like, I want to keep those changes, but let's see. So what I can do, rather than change this and go restore revision history, I'm just going to take the paragraph. So I'm going to take this one paragraph and I'm going to copy and paste it. So I'm going to close the revision history. And I'm going to go back to the live document, and that was which paragraph? Is it this one? I don't know what paragraph it was now. But if I want to replace just that one paragraph, so I would highlight this, and I'm going to do a paste, and it'll just paste over that. And that wasn't the right paragraph. But the reason you don't necessarily want to just restore to a previous version is that any of those changes, then maybe you did want some of those changes made later, those changes are now gone and there's no way to get them back. So it's best to kind of take a piece at a time if you're working in a document that has a lot of changes from different people. So just keep that in mind. Once you go back to that previous version, there's no way to really undo that. All right, so that was revision history. Okay, another feature, I think you'll like this. If you're taking college classes, this might save you some time. There is a really, really nice feature in Google, so please make sure you're on the GoToMeeting tab now so you can see what we're doing here. So I'm going to highlight this name right here. Tim Berners-Lee. So let's say I wanted to do a little bit of research on him because I'm not really sure who this gentleman is, but maybe there's some information I can find. What I'm going to do is after it's highlighted, I will right click on it. And one of the choices here is research. And if I click on that research button, it actually does a Google search off to the side. So now I can see who Tim Berners-Lee is. He was born on June 8th, 1955 in London, UK. His spouse is Rosemary, and so on. He's written some books. He got the Marconi Prize, not the Macaroni Prize. That's a different prize. And then I have actually web results. So I can go back and I can do a little bit of research. So if I do something with research, let's say I take some information from this first website here. I don't know if this is handy, but it's pretty nice to be able to just click this cite button. and look what it does. It actually, so whatever, I wrote something about Tim Berners-Lee, and I used this first website as a resource or as a source of information. It's now actually cited in my paper for me, just like that, without me having to go outside into a browser, do research, paste it over, and so on. It automatically does that for you. So pretty handy feature. Oh, all right. Catching up on the chat log here. Okay, so that's really nice. You'll want to know that. And also, you can actually sort these by different types of searches. So if I wanted just images, there's some pictures. So I could actually grab this picture, slide it right into the document, and there it is. You can search by, and this is handy for kids, and if we're writing a paper, if I just want to research scholarly selections, these are all considered scholarly, so we can get rid of things that probably aren't reliable sources. You can do quotes. I don't know if he has any quotes, no quotes, but you can do quotes. So if you're looking up someone famous and they have, you want to find a quote from them, you can do it that way. Or you can just search everything. So really, really nice feature in Google Docs. The other one that kind of fits with that is, let's take a look here. Oh, I'm going to do this word, Medium. So I'm a student and I don't really know what Medium is necessarily. If I highlight that word and right click on it, it'll bring up the definition if I choose define. So there it says what the word is. It gives a couple of definitions. It tells you what part of speech it is and so on. So, and again, really, I think that's a great tool for students. When they're doing reading and they come across a word that they're not sure of, they can look up the definition. They can do research on things right there to gain more information on what they're reading. So let's take some ideas. So far, what's a feature that we've showed you that you thought of one way you could use with your students in class? And go ahead and share those in the chat on GoToMeeting. That's a great idea, Christine, using the revision history to see who's contributed and when and how much. That's a great idea, especially if you're doing group work. Make everyone accountable. Good, I'm glad you like the research feature. It's excellent. I agree. All right, good. Starred docs. I don't know about you, but sometimes I forget where I put stuff. Hard to believe. So the starred definitely helps. Shutting off email alerts. That's a good question. I'm sure there is a way to shut off email alerts when documents are changed. I'd have to look into it though. I don't know right off the top of my head. Let's take a look here. That's what I want. I don't know, Joel. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Good question though. Right. David says good for team projects and collaborating. Very good. Yes, exactly, Jack. You can actually choose which format it goes in. Very good. All right, we have a little bit of extra time here. We kind of got through, we had more planned, but we got through kind of the meat and potatoes of this. So I want to show you then under add-ons. So this is just one add-on, and to get add-ons, you click on add-ons, click get add-ons, and it has a whole bunch of different add-ons. So there's some that are useful, you know, in one particular content area. So if you do a lot of math type, GMath is a good one. There's just Lucid charts. So if you do flow charts or graphic organizers, that's a good one. There's a ton of these. Well, the one I'm going to show you is called EasyBib. So if you go in there and you actually can search EasyBib, and then it will come up. And if you're familiar with the website EasyBib, it's very similar. So mine says manage, but if you were to do this on yours, if you haven't added it yet, it will say add. So you can actually add this add-on to your Google Docs. So to use that, under add-ons, it says manage add-ons. That doesn't seem right. Okay. I thought I was going to be able to show you this. Maybe not. I'm going to refresh this and see what happens. So EasyBib actually will create your bibliography for you in the correct format, which is pretty amazing because I think that was one of my least favorite things to do on research papers. There we go, now it came up. So it says here, EasyBib Bibliography Creator, and I'm just going to go click Manage Bibliography. And so as I'm writing my paper, and this is a super cool tool, notice I can enter in a book. So if I have an ISBN number, or if I have the title, or even if I just know the keywords of the book, which hopefully if you're citing it as a resource, you have more information than just the keywords for the book. But let's say, let's see here. Let's say I was doing a little bit of research and I was writing, oops. So this happens to be a book I'm reading right now. So let's say I use this book. It's called The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. And I used some information from there in my report. All I have to do is click select. And it'll add that into my bibliography. And then I can do, if I have a website, let's say I did, I took an article from CNN. All right, and you know, I'd have to find the article, but let's say it was this one, that's fine, okay. It's gonna add that to my bibliography, and then when I have everything done, and I have all my different resources in my bibliography, all I have to do is click Add Bibliography to Doc, and it's gonna work away here. And I scroll to the bottom and voila, it creates my bibliography right at the end of my paper. Pretty cool tool. And again, you can choose MLA, APA, Chicago, and then a whole bunch of choices I have probably never heard of. So tons and tons of different ways, so you should be able to fit whoever's needs there. I think there was a question. Edit the margins of a Google Doc. Okay, we can look at that. I agree, Christine. That would have been great, right? Save time. All right, so we had a question on editing margins. So I believe, and I'm going to kind of go on the fly here, so bear with me if I make mistakes. And if someone else knows how to do that, let us know. It's probably under. And yes, Joel, I think you can edit that. Yeah. So if there's a misspelling, you can go ahead and change that, or if the formatting doesn't get exactly the way you want it, absolutely, you can change that. All right, format. That's an interesting one, which is a good one for me to look up. So right now I'm going to say, oh, page setup. Thank you. Thanks, Joel. So there, under page setup, file, page setup, you can change your margins. You can change the size of paper, so if you're doing it on different size paper and so on. That's also one place you can change the landscape portrait too. So does that answer the question? All right, perfect. Anyone else have questions? Okay, so at that point, so again, there's a bunch of different add-ons. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, showing you. We could spend the next 4 hours showing you the add-ons. So just if you get a chance to look at those, there's a lot of really good ones. Sometimes it's worth going out into an internet browser and just searching and finding out what add-ons teachers are using. Best add-ons for teachers, something like that. And it's just a great way to make Google Docs even more useful than they are. So Ashley, do you have experience with Google Classroom? No, unfortunately I don't. Because we're not a school, we actually don't have students, so we don't have Google Classroom at this time. I wish I did. If you have specific questions, maybe you can send me an email. We might be able to find the answers or find someone that does. And I wish I did. Trust me, I wish. Oh, Dave found out how to turn off email notifications. Help us, Dave. Here, let me try this. Dave, you want to go ahead and tell us? You're unmuted. Oh, I put him on the spot. All right, so we'll get back to that. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So I didn't use my slideshow at all, but that's okay. Go ahead and one more time. So we're going to make you make a commitment now. How will you use one of the tools features that you showed today, and this is how will you use, not how would you like to. So what is one thing you can commit to doing? All right. As you're typing those answers in, then under notifications, so you click comments, and then it has notifications. You can have it notify you every time there's a comment made. You can have it only for your comments, or you can do none. So then you would get no email notifications. So thanks for that, for the help on that, Dave. All right, good. Use the chat feature. No commitment. Joel's very non-committal. All right. And what I do know about Google Classroom is it's really a nice way to manage your docs. So as you're sending things out to students and they're returning them to you for grading, it's just a management system is what Classroom really is. And you can set up groups and different ways to do that. So Ashley, probably what we'll do is we'll probably have another webinar on just Google Forms and how to use them. They're actually pretty simple to use. You go through your Google Drive to create one, and then after that, it's pretty self-explanatory, create questions and so on, and then send it up using the link or with email. Yeah, right. Jackie, that's exactly right. It manages the workflow. And if you don't have Classroom, there are ways to do that. One of the add-ons is called Doctopus, and that's kind of does the same thing, but it's not as user-friendly from what I understand. Okay, well, thank you for providing those answers. So we're pretty much at the end here now. So thank you so much for your participation. I know we're a little bit early. Another question? Yeah. Yes, that's right. The one in August is the same. It's going to be the same information, same content. We might add in a few little other things, but it actually was scheduled. We just scheduled 2 different dates so that teachers were on vacation right now don't have to worry about attending a webinar on vacation. So what's going to happen now, we're going to share a link with you in the chat log here. It already is shared. So if you want this slideshow, that's how you get the slideshow. So you can open up the slideshow. I see some of you doing that. And then what you want to do is click File, and you will want to add to your drive or make a copy to your drive so that you have access to that. Or if you keep that link somewhere, you'll always have access to it that way also. As far as evaluations, what we'll do is after the webinar ends today, sometime tomorrow, you'll get an email with a link to an evaluation. Once you complete that evaluation, you'll be eligible to receive your certificate, and we'll send those to you through email also. So with that being said, that's the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, we'll be on for a few minutes. We'll keep answering those. Or you can certainly email either one of us and we'll get an answer for you as quickly as possible, or send you elsewhere for an expert. So thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Enjoy. Thanks, Joel. That's a good idea. So yes, please follow us on social media. Andy, do you mind if I unmute you? And you'll have to type in the box. I won't unmute you until you give me permission. All right. So Andy, what I think you have to do is you would have 2 tabs open at the top of your web browser. One would be GoToMeeting tab, and the other one would be the Google Doc. Oh, so I can unmute you. Okay, thanks. I don't see her. You know what, Andy? I don't have that option, so I can't. Did that answer your question or not? Yeah, I don't see that option either. I don't know if your audio's not working or because everyone else I see, I have an option to unmute them. If you'd like, I can give you a call. No worries. But if you do have more questions and you want me to give you a call, or if you want me to meet you somewhere, I can certainly do that. Just drop me an email and I'd be happy to. No worries. Thank you. Thank you for attending. I'm glad you finally got to get some information on Google Docs.